All right, welcome back to the Rise with Anita podcast. On today's episode, we have a very special treat. There are people who speak to your mind. They give you strategies, frameworks, or steps to follow. And then there are people who speak directly to your soul. Today, we're here in New York City with someone I call the Activator because he is a rare mix of soul meets strategy. And if you've ever been in Craig Siegel's presence, you know why. There's this grounded yet electric energy that comes through. He's steady, rooted, real, and simultaneously capable of lighting something up inside you that you didn't even know was dormant. From Wall Street to Wall Street Journal bestselling author of the Reinvention Formula, from the training floors to building the CLS Experience, one of the most transformative personal development communities and podcasts in the world, Craig has coached thousands, spoken on stages across the globe, and has become a sought-after voice in mindset and personal development. But here's what Google will not tell you. Craig doesn't just coach, he is a champion, particularly when it comes to women, not putting himself at the center, but by both sharing the spotlight, but also pulling forward what's already magnificent and making it undeniable. He has this rare gift of seeing your potential before you do, and then refusing to let you hide from it. But because here is what Craig believes at his core, playing small is not only canceled, but it is spiritually irresponsible. When you're sitting across from someone who lives that truth, someone who's done the deep inner work, studied ancient wisdom, and walked through his own fires, and emerged as a force of activation, you don't just have a conversation, you have a transmission. So Craig, welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you here.
I mean, we could just drop the mic. That was really special. I'm actually at a loss for words. I was taking that all in. I was present. I was listening to it. It was very articulate and intentional, and it was true. And I really appreciate that. And I receive it, and I love you, and I'm so happy to be here with you in New York City. And that was amazing. Thank you.
I love you too. So I think it's funny that it became kind of like a full circle moment, given the very first time I messaged you was about coming on the podcast.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And it's been a journey since. But before we dive in, I always start off with, instead of an icebreaker and instead of the normal resume asking questions, what is bringing you joy in this moment?
This moment, but aside from that, yesterday. So yesterday we had our big live event in New York City for the fall called The Portal, 125 people. It was amazing. It was so special. The speakers, the audience, the community, the connections, the staff, everything curated so specifically, so intentionally, so exact, so precise. And I'm still riding high off the energy. I've been getting unbelievable feedback, and that's really what it's all about. Even my mom, who was there, who's never actually experienced me in person like that, she gave me two perspectives, right? One was the proud mom, which I expected. But the other was the breakthrough that she had about feeling like an extra in her own movie. And so now she has the opportunity to do something about it. So just that event, the in-person connection, I feel so much joy right now.
I love that. And that was such a great event. One of the best I've been to, honestly. And I don't just say that because you're sitting with me. But the connections you're able to bring into your community and into the events that you do, there's something highly unique about what you bring, especially in terms of this space. And I wanted to acknowledge that for a moment.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm going to take you back a little bit on your journey, because I heard rumor has it when you were still transitioning, you used to kind of anchor yourself to the identity of James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like that calm confidence, unshakable poise.
Yeah.
So my curiosity now is, how did that archetype shape who you became? And what role does that identity still play in your evolution?
Yeah, so yesterday at the end of the portal, when I closed it down, I spoke about this idea, and it won't be a spoiler by the time this airs, that the whole plot twist of the event was that the portal was not a place. It wasn't even the room. It was you. It was everyone in there. It's the gap between potential and realization, potential and manifestation. And there's two ways to do that, embodiment and a decision. And you mentioned anchoring. an NLP technique that I used when I first started studying personal development, still use it to this day, 007 James Bond. So I have many avatars or people that I held in high regard, fictional or non-fictional. James Bond was one that exuded aura, confidence, charisma, assertiveness to me. And when I was coming up on Wall Street and I didn't have those things, or at least I didn't feel natural, I wanted to anchor somebody because I didn't possess them yet that had it and kind of model that. And so 007, the character of James Bond, was just so cool, calm, and collective, so much aura. That was something I really gravitated to. So I would model him and embody his spirit. And by doing so, I started to actually expand what I was capable of. And then I acquired some of those traits and made them my own. So very powerful technique, and love James Bond. Who doesn't?
See, I bet you didn't know I knew that part of you.
I wouldn't put anything past you. I know that you really take pride in preparation.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. You're absolutely right. So we're going to start off a little fiery because this sentence for me was very eye-opening. First, it was playing small is canceled. Then you added, not only is it canceled, but it's now spiritually irresponsible.
Evolution.
It's evolved, yes.
Yeah.
And what does that look like for you on a both personal level and then a spiritual level at this point?
It's so interesting that you brought this up because in real time I'm having a moment that there was an evolution. Playing small is canceled was like a cool, funny, sexy tagline, which I believed that we should all play bigger. But then as I really took it to the next level with my spiritual discipline, my studies, specifically the wisdom of Kabbalah, I now know that all of our souls are actually here to utilize the gifts that were given to us and make an impact in some capacity. I don't want us to be a celebrity or a personal figure, but use the gifts that were given to us because we're the managers of them. And so if we're not doing that on a spiritual level, I believe that's irresponsible because we signed a soul contract before we came here. That we were going to create magic, do the right thing, purify our intentions, and do a lot of good in the world. Then life happens. The ego, circumstances, I get all that. We get kind of, sidetracked. We go on a detour. But the reality is we're here to do something special with the gifts that were given to us. And in order to do that, it doesn't require more humility. It requires more audacity, being audacious with our gifts. And I truly believe it's irresponsible if we don't share them.
Beautiful. I like the evolution, honestly, because as I've been in this season, that's something I've been thinking about constantly, is like, where am I playing too small? And it's a question you bring up quite a bit. And it makes you realize how sometimes we limit our own selves and our own capabilities when if we just listen to what's guiding us, we'll be guided to much bigger than we ever thought possible.
That's right.
So beautiful. Right now, in this season, what does it look like for you to be embodied? And what does it feel like?
To be like the creator, I don't mean like I think I'm a god, but to be that type of endless energy, that force in the world in our own way, requires us to act or embody the creator. How do we do that? Less ego, right? More intention, more devotion, sharing, playing bigger. All these things are things that I embody to be more like the creator, to make a big difference, to help a lot of people, to manifest, to create, to live without limitation, right? And so a lot of people want to get to that level. One of the best ways that you can is to identify what God or the creator or universe is for you, and then begin to act like that force. That's the most powerful embodiment that there is.
Very true. I loved your answer, not gonna lie.
Huh?
I said I loved your answer.
Thank you. I've never been asked that before.
See?
Well, the best conversations are the ones that you don't know the answers to. You don't know the questions to, right? So even like some of the guests yesterday, we were joking around in the green room. I said, do you guys even want to know the questions? Like, no. And I love that because I'm the same way. I would never want to know because I would never want the ego to come in and try to prepare me to say something that's not organic or authentic in the moment. Preparing for a speech.
Trying to sound perfect.
Preparing for a speech is different. You want to have direction. Absolutely. You want to do a great job. But when you're more like conversational style podcast or fireside chat, I think when you don't know, then you can really channel. And those makes for the most beautiful conversations.
Absolutely. So you speak a lot about conviction, that unwavering belief before the evidence appears. What role does conviction play in the process of manifestation for you?
Well, if there's a seed of doubt, you can't manifest because there's a competing desire. So conviction is the ability to know and trust that you're worthy, that you can be certain that there's value within inside you. So many people out there are waiting to get started, waiting for the perfect time, waiting to feel ready, or waiting for validation. But that's the opposite approach that we should be taking. We should lead with conviction, and then from that we can actually manifest, and then we'll be validated after if you still need that, right? But as long as there's doubt, you're not going to be able to manifest. Think about this. When did I say the farmer analogy? Maybe on our community call this week. Something along the lines of this. When a farmer plants a seed in the ground, right? He doesn't come back the next day and rip up the ground to make sure it's blossoming. He waters it, right? He doesn't have doubt. It's a process. And then he's able to manifest the tree or the plant, whatever, right? So as long as there's seed that you're planting is doubt, then you're going to manifest doubt or disconnect. So you must possess conviction to create alignment with the thing that you want to manifest.
Beautiful. Actually, you just touched on what I was wanting to lead you into, which is kind of magical how you did that, which is there's something you constantly talk about, which is the idea of negotiating with your worth. How does that show up for people, and what role does it play in what they're able to manifest or receive?
If we break down, like, what is maybe some of the biggest reasons, top two, that people don't chart the course that the dream in their heart possesses, or that they don't play bigger or run towards the thing that they actually desire. A lot of them is because they don't feel worthy. They're negotiating with their worth, right? They're waiting for the worthiness when the universe really demands your willingness. Big difference there, right? So as long as you're negotiating with, am I worthy of speaking? Am I worthy of sharing? Am I valuable enough to approach that person, start a conversation? Then there will always be, think like a static in the connection, static in the Wi-Fi. It's not going to be pure, right? So you cannot negotiate with your worth if you want to do big things. Cannot, non-negotiable, right? You don't have to think that you're the greatest ever, but just that you're worthy of whatever it is that you want to try. How willing would you be to try on that outfit? I'm worthy. Instead of, I'm not sure if this is the right time. Let me wait till I feel ready. You decide that you're ready. You don't need permission.
Beautiful. I think for me, every time I've decided and just acted, that's when the results kind of trickle and
Of course.
you build the momentum.
Of course.
It's when you fail to make the decision that you kind of veer off course. Or at least I started to notice that in my own life.
Where are you negotiating with your self-worth or your worthiness?
I should have known you were going to flip this. I'm going to say I probably don't stand firm enough in boundaries of how I communicate my needs to others. So I tend to overgive, and then the result of that overgiving tends to be you're depleted after a certain point. So I think for me, the way I negotiate that worthiness is not taking the time to put a little bit of priority to.
So that's the effect, the byproduct. But what's really going on there that you feel like you can't even have the boundary, that you have to overgive? What's up with that?
Honestly, I believe it just comes from, like, I'm a giver by nature. So it feels natural to want to give. And sometimes I don't recognize, like, okay, maybe you shouldn't be so giving, or maybe you should prioritize a little bit of what you need.
But there's a big difference between giving, which is beautiful, and overgiving.
Very true.
Right? It's almost if you feel like you're not worthy, so you have to showcase that, oh, I went the extra mile.
To an extent, I'll I'll throw you that bone to an extent, but I think also it comes down to like, I think because I've been used to not being seen, my favorite thing in the world is also to make people feel like seen in ways that they would not expect. So small, typical answer, no. Like small little like example, I have this habit of like, I will usually figure out a person's coffee order down to like how much cream, sugar they drink. And I'll be like, hey, I got you this coffee. And a lot of times, especially when they don't think that you know it, the reaction is always like, how did you notice that? Or what made you pick up on it? Like for you, for example, I'm fairly sure you're a black coffee or a potential red eye guy.
I like black coffee, no milk, no sugar.
See?
Oh, that's a talent right there. I'm impressed.
So,
But yeah, no more negotiating. No more over giving. Just give, no agenda, no expectation. That's it. And when you over give, sometimes you take people's energy. Kabbalah, we call that bread of shame. I've seen it firsthand all the time. You go the extra mile, you really like this person, you want to really help, and you end up taking their energy.
interesting.
Right? So definitely give. I don't want to say stop doing that, but maybe we eliminate the over giving.
Okay.
Let's try that out.
Fine, I will update you.
Perfect.
And speaking of Kabbalah, you constantly talk about the light cannot flow through a vessel that is in doubt. The more you hesitate your worth, the more you block what's trying to come through. So how do you help people move from negotiating their worth to standing fully in it, especially when external circumstances are telling them otherwise?
What is an external circumstance? Like, so I think of this is a little drastic. If someone, but even this isn't like, let's say someone didn't have legs and they wanted to run in the Olympics. Okay. That's a circumstance. But then again, now they have the Paralympics. So even that can actually be accomplished. So forget about external circumstances. That's like the 1% world, as we call them. The 99% world is, what do I want to create? Who do I need to become? And then the outside circumstances adjust and meet you where you're at. Right? So it's all an inside job. Consciousness is everything. Yeah. It's the most important thing is when you have such an elevated consciousness, your ego or your doubt doesn't even have air up there.
Yeah. I mean, even the word impossible has I'm possible.
That's right. That's right.
Very good. Can you touch on expanding the vessel? I know that's your favorite topic.
It's so funny. It's such a funny word. Yeah, so we went over a lot of strategies yesterday. I shared that expand network, the framework. But none of it really matters if we don't have the capacity to receive, right? So we must expand our capacity to receive all the miracles, blessings, prosperity that's already here. We don't have to chase it. We have to allow it, right? So you look at people that win the lottery. There's a pretty polarizing and accurate research and statistic that shows that when they weren't ready, they didn't have the vessel, they received the money. What typically happens? I'm sure you've heard.
They lose it.
They lose it. They're bankrupt, drugs. They end up like worse before than they got it. Why? Because they didn't have the vessel, right? So the money comes and they find ways to self-sabotage. But if you have the capacity, you can just receive unlimited. And nobody really grasps how unlimited the limit is. So the idea is to not just add things to your plate, but to be the person that can hold the plate or to get a bigger plate. Ways to do that are to flex the muscle of certainty, to put yourself in uncomfortable situations full of friction, right? Because with no friction, there could be no light. So we must be able to expand and stretch. You cannot do that in your comfort zone, right? So Monica was sharing an awesome story yesterday about she wanted to be a public speaker. So right away, it made her so anxious. She started speaking, right? So maybe the first time she did it, she wasn't good. Or she looks back and she's like, she could barely hear herself. But by doing that, she expanded her capacity a little bit, right? So now she can receive some more opportunities. She can get a little bit better and so forth. So the whole idea is this is all a receiving game. Everything that we actually desire is sitting there in escrow, all of it, right? So it's not about chasing. It's about being on the same frequency as it, being on the same signal, being a match for it. And we do that by expanding our capacity, by thinking bigger, by removing limitation, by acting like the creator. These are things that anybody listening today can begin to implement. The question is, will they?
Very true.
That's a different conversation, right? So now we know how. What is someone's desire or willingness?
Beautiful. I love the way you put it, because as you know, I'm working on expanding my vessel, and I've had my moments where I question, like, okay, what am I still, I don't want to call it doing wrong, but it's like, where am I still holding back? And so I've been sitting with that a lot over the last few weeks of like, what more do I need to do in order to allow myself to receive more?
Mm-hmm.
I will let you know the answer to that once I
Please
find it.
do.
So, your story from Wall Street to best-selling author and spiritual entrepreneur is a masterclass in reinvention. What did that identity shift look like for you internally?
I really like the way you articulated that. A spiritual entrepreneur. Conscious. So the journey from Wall Street to now, what did the identity shift look like? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Internally.
When I was on Wall Street, I was showing up with this fabricated identity of what I thought I had to be or what I had to look like to be accepted by the world. Pretty girlfriend, money, things, all that. But none of it actually fulfilled me. It was all based on a lie, inauthenticity. Mm-hmm. So when I began my journey to consciousness and I started not caring what I thought people wanted to see from me and actually started listening and connecting to Creator and being that channel, that's when I really started to build myself professionally, CLS, personally with Alessia, and I really started to have so much more fun because being inauthentic is actually very heavy. It's like annoying, right? So at first it's hard to have the courage to really be yourself and showcase your scars, not just your trophies. Mm-hmm. But when you do that, it's so freeing. You can't really get hurt because you're so comfortable with yourself. And so to be able to get to that level, I believe is a form of self-mastery, right? And so the identity shift was on Wall Street, I was in ego. I was doing things for me. I created a perception of what I thought people wanted to see from me. What I'm doing now is to do things in alignment with Creator. To share, to grow, to create, to expand, all of that stuff. So my identity is one of a channel for Creator. Totally different identities. I don't even recognize that cat from Wall Street. I'm not mad at him, proud of him, I love him. He had the courage to leave and go on this crazy journey, but I really don't have much in common with that cat. I really changed. And it's crazy because we should always be evolving and expanding. But I see like pictures, or sometimes someone will send me like a funny picture from 8-7 years ago. And I'm like, to be honest, even from 2 years ago, while I was on this journey, and I'm still on the journey, but I don't even recognize myself from 2 years ago. That's how much I'm growing every single day. I constantly studying and researching and studying the Zohar and doing the Kabbalah wisdom and all that good stuff. And so I'm just constantly doing the best that I can to elevate my consciousness. And as a result, I'm constantly growing. I don't even recognize older identities, but I think that's something that we should all crave, is to keep growing. Doesn't have to be spirituality, or highly recommend, but anything that you're doing, just the whole point of life. Even Shefali said this beautifully yesterday, right? Just keep growing. Just keep expanding. Make mistakes. Be a little careless. Keep growing, learning, expanding. So big identity shift. I think I had to kill off that identity, quite frankly.
So would you say you had to kill off a bit of your ego?
Change the relationship with it. I know a lot of people talk about like ego death. You don't kill off your ego. I believe that the opponent or the ego is actually a negative force with a positive purpose, because it provides us the opportunity to overcome something. And in that process, reveal more, as we would say, light. So totally change my relationship with the ego. It's never going to go away.
I'm not going to lie. In 2020, I was the person who was on a mission to kill the ego. I was like, I realized it was not working out for me. I was just like, how do I just get rid of it? And then at one point, I think it was like 2021, I realized ego has a purpose.
Yeah.
You might not like it, but it has a purpose.
Absolutely.
And you have to learn how to dance with it.
That's right.
So I've had to shift my perspective a little bit.
Think about like a sporting game, maybe hockey. If there was no goalie in the net and you just kept scoring, like taking that out of the equation, would that be fun, fulfilling? Of course not. We need a worthy opponent, right? We need something to be able to overcome. Yeah. So by changing that, now we can actually look forward to the moments that the ego comes into play because it's an opportunity to pause, not react, and then proactively overcome it. And that's where the real growth happens.
Yeah. Well, it would be like a movie with no villain.
That's right.
Or no...
What would be the story? Like, well, you don't have to have a villain per se, but something that the main character must overcome.
Yeah. Exactly.
We need that stuff.
We do.
Might as well embrace it.
So you often weave Kabbalistic principles into your work. From that perspective, what do you think most people often misunderstand about manifestation?
What do they misunderstand?
About manifestation.
Manifestation. Key to manifesting is to be in alignment with the vision that it is that you want to manifest and create, right? So it's a resonance game. What aura, what energy are you resonating on is what you're going to manifest. And oh, by the way, spoiler alert, we're always manifesting all day, every day. We are. Whatever it is that we are embodying, that spirit is what we're bringing into our life. Whether that's doubt or lack or scarcity, then we're operating from that consciousness. If it's abundance, more money, awesome relationships, great events, then we're manifesting that too. But it's an inside job, right? Because you don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you are, the vibration that you're offering. So now that we know that, how can we be so intentional about the vibe that we're showing up with, that we're offering the world? That's when the fun begins.
So how do you stay in control of your vibration then? Or how do you try to manage it?
A constant daily discipline of accessing higher levels of consciousness and how am I showing up right now? How do I want to show up right now? I'm doing a podcast with Anita. How would I like to show up for that show? Right? So constantly being conscious of who you're being more so than what you're doing.
Beautiful answer. So Kabbalah teaches that resistance is necessary for light to be revealed. How do you personally turn resistance or life's challenges into growth and illumination?
Resistance to the ego, resistance to the negative thoughts, resistance to the limitation, right? So every time, and oh, by the way, how you respond matters, right? So something as simple as someone cuts you off in traffic. It's annoying. You want to maybe give them the finger or say, hey, jerk, honk, right? But if you can just restrict in that moment and respond differently, you open up a different energetic trajectory. I know this sounds crazy. These are laws of the universe, right? And a couple of the things that Kabbalah teaches is the laws of cause and effect, and it studies the soul. So what I'm asking your listeners to test out right now is to experience this and test it out, right? How you respond to something in your movie matters. And no one even has to know about it. It could just be in your head. Not getting frustrated, not being reactive, restricting the temptation for that. And when you do that, you tune into a different frequency. You're giving off a different energy, and you're more available for a miracle.
Beautiful. I practiced that yesterday when we were late.
Amazing.
Anna was...
Perfect example.
Anna was panicked, and she kept being like, Anita, can I make you like the best dinner ever before you leave? Like, I know you really want it to be on time. And I just looked at her and I was like, it's fine. It's fine. I guarantee you whatever information we're supposed to hear, we will. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it's okay. And she was like, I promise I'll go tell Craig. And I was like, you really don't have to. It's fine. Like, because for me, it was just more about being present in the moment and taking what I could get out of the time I had, rather than being focused on...
It's a waste of energy.
Exactly.
Next time, try to be on time. But in that moment, let it go. Yeah.
I mean, I'm usually on time.
Yeah. I think of you as someone that's very punctual.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm Armenian, so that makes a difference.
Fair enough.
Because back in the day, fun little tidbit, I used to have to tell my mom an hour late, an hour early, so we wouldn't be late. Because she and I had this whole thing of like, I like to be on time. She likes to get ready when you're supposed to be on time.
I understand.
So
I think I experienced some of that in my family too.
So, you've also mentioned to the degree that we are practical is the degree that we are limiting ourselves. Can you expand on that? And what does that mean in terms of how we dream, create, and show up?
I said that yesterday, didn't I? Wow, it's supposed to be fresh notes. I believe that to the degree at which we are logical, practical, and reasonable within our life, to that same degree we're limited in our capacity to receive. Because I believe the whole idea here is to think big and participate and play in a reality that's beyond our logic. Most people are logical. Even if you think about a quantum leap, every quantum leap begins with a decision that terrifies the ego. And right away, a couple things happen. 20% of your brain, champions. Let's go, Craig, we got this. 30%, very analytical, logical. I don't know, we don't have the resources, or we don't have the following. And then it's the other 50% that you want to recruit, right? So being realistic or reasonable or logical, I think is the most limiting thing. Because the people that really change the world in a big way are unrealistic. You have to play in a different reality, more of one that's what else is possible, as opposed to let's be realistic. And even just thinking to swing for the fences, being a little more careless and consider what's out there, now all of a sudden you enter a new identity that has to be a little bit more resourceful to manifest that in the first place. So I don't see any benefits of being logical. Look, head in the clouds, feet on the ground. You want to be grounded to some capacity. I don't mean just so out there where it's unrelatable.
Yeah.
Certain things maybe.
Define that. What would you give a maybe?
If my mom was like, hey, Craig, I really want to join the WNBA. I want to dunk a basketball. I said, Mom, I love you so much. Why don't we shift that energy to something else? You're 77 years old. You're 5'3". Might not be super reasonable to dunk a basketball right now.
Okay.
Right? Certain things.
Okay.
But for the most part, anything that you really want to create, manifest, or play around with in your life, you should play with that with the consciousness of beyond logic.
So what if a person's been trying to, say, manifest something and they're not getting that win? How do you know when it's time to maybe let that dream go versus when it's just, you know, that like liminal space that there is sometimes before? So when you're ready to give up it, that's when it comes through. What point do you differentiate between that?
What I'm hearing you say is, when do you know if you need to push a little harder or pivot? Good question. I think it's a case by case. I don't think this is a one-size-fits-all answer. I think a lot of it has to do with your desire, devotion, and willingness, right? Because you can do certain things, but do you really have the desire to? If not, you can only get so far. Is it in alignment? It's also okay to change your mind, right? So it's an interesting conversation I've been having lately about this idea of you commit to something. That means you're doing it for the long haul, even when it's no longer fun at times. Training for a marathon. It's very fun in the beginning. Get to like week 7, it's a little bit tedious and it could be draining. But the end goal is to compete for that 26.2 mile race and do a great job. So for me, it's part of the course. But what if you're doing something and you realize the destination where you thought you were going no longer excites or aligns with you? At that moment, is it okay to pivot? Absolutely. You shouldn't keep doing something you don't want to do. So how do you determine that? It's a great question. I don't have the answer for you because I think it really depends upon the situation and the person.
Beautiful. I was just curious on your take.
Yeah.
You used this beautiful analogy. Actually, it was so good that I had a conversation with my grandparents and I asked them the same question of the seed versus the fruit. Which one's more important? Can you walk us through what that means to you and why it matters so much for anyone on the path of transformation?
That was a good one.
I had them stumped, not going to lie.
Which one's more important? What do you think?
The seed.
Why?
Because it's the intent.
Right. So next question. But that's the truth. It's what you're planting in the ground. What is the real desire that we want to blossom and manifest? The fruit is the byproduct, right? Mm-hmm. So what's more important, the desire to run the marathon or getting the medal?
The desire to run the marathon.
Who we become, that whole journey ahead. The medal's cool, but like that was just the aftermath. It's the fruit, right? But the seed, why it was important to us in the first place, who we became, how we expanded in the process. Mm. So it's always the seed. And then the fruit is the end result or the energetic exchange. It's nice, but it's kind of like the old conversation, the journey versus the destination.
Beautiful. So how does that tie into the idea of being a vessel, someone who's focused on expansion, not just achievement, though?
Well, the idea is to be unattached from achievement, unattached from the outcome, matter the process towards the outcome. It's all about the growth and the process. Someone said something last night, it was so beautiful. Maybe it was Monica again, quoting her a lot today. I think she said the process was the point, something like that. Forgot how she articulated it.
Very similar.
Yeah, but meaning like the whole process in the work of Kabbalah that we do, it's all about transformation. It's the soul business. It's all about the process. That's where the magic happens, right? So that's the most important thing, and we should always know that. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't have cool, fun, exciting, sexy goals that we're striving to. It makes it fun. Keeps you on track on the days that aren't so fun. But at the end of the day, the process is what it's all about. The process is the purpose, I believe you said. It really is. I believe that.
Yeah, it's all about the becoming.
I love that too. All about the becoming.
Yeah.
By the way, real quickly, you said something awesome in the intro. I forgot what you said because you said a lot of good things, but it should be the title of the episode. It was so, I forgot what you said. It'll come back to me, but it was really well articulated, and I wanted to acknowledge you for that.
Thank you. I had to make you proud. You do really.
I'm always proud of you.
Well,
but I could tell you put an effort.
You have no idea. I probably went through like 5 intros for you because I wanted it to be unique and to actually capture your actual essence.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I received that.
So when you zoom out of the content and the events and the business, what's your mission truly that drives it all? What do you feel you're here to activate in someone?
Possibility. I'm in the soul business. Do the work the creator wants and tells me to do. But like, what was yesterday's event really, if you break it down? The idea was for it to be awakening. Even my mom who left, right? She saw it from the perspective of her son. It was very beautiful. I knew she'd be proud. But the breakthrough that she had about she was being an extra in her own movie, that awakened something in her, right? So what will she do with it? Time will tell. But to awaken an idea, a possibility, a nugget, a piece of wisdom in somebody that they too can grow, can expand, can accomplish, can share, can overcome. I think that's what it's all about. Now, granted, that can only take someone so far. They really have to be devoted to the process. But to awaken something in someone, to help them see a bigger picture, I think right now that's what the mission is.
Beautiful, and that ties into my nickname for you, which is the Activator.
Maybe that's what it was. That's what it was. The Activator.
I've been calling you that since our second call, by the way.
That's awesome. That really is awesome.
And when you think about legacy, not in terms of accolades, but in energy, what do you want people to feel from you in your work?
I don't know if I care per se, how, like, if I wanted to feel a certain way. I just want them to feel empowered, capable, worthy, conscious. I want them to feel like they too can live a bigger life, an extraordinary one, with great fulfillment and prosperity and everything in between. So that's the main point. What they feel from me, they think I'm weird, they think I'm handsome, they think I'm whatever, that's on them. Hopefully all the good things. But
Actually, I will give you this note. So, I just did James Keys as a podcast guest.
Good guy, right?
Great guy. And when we met, I had met him in person. And when I asked him to be on the podcast, he was like, message me on Instagram. So I gave him my Instagram, had him put in his handle. And he was like, oh, you know Craig Siegel? And I was like, yeah, I do know Craig Siegel. And he goes, how do you know him? And I was like, oh, I guess you could say we're friends. And then we do a bit of work together. But why? What's up? And he goes, I was just on his podcast. He's a really good guy. And I will tell you this. After joining your community, I've probably heard that about 50 times.
Really?
Yes. And it's the biggest compliment.
That is amazing. Thank you. You heard that from like people in the community or like guests?
Both.
Amazing. I love it. Thank you for sharing that.
Standing ovation. I know that you don't need the validation, but
No, that just means that it's working.
you come out as authentic. That's what it means. So, looking at it from a spiritual perspective right now, what is one way you're growing? I mean, we asked you this the other day at Kabbalah, but
One way I'm growing. More certainty. Less logical. Less reasonable. Thinking bigger. Less
Can I challenge you?
limitation. Huh?
Can I challenge you?
Please.
I think you could do bigger with your events too.
Totally. So the whole idea of this event was that we had 125 people, and it was amazing, and yet I should also feel the pain because it wasn't big enough. That's weird to say, right? But the idea is that it was so magical that how are we not having this event with 1,000 people, 5,000 people?
Yes, and so on and so forth.
Exactly. So you're right. I acknowledge that, and that's the process now is to the next one in the spring, which we will sell out. But how do we grow it substantially and keep the vibe, keep that level of awesome intimacy? You're absolutely right, and I agree.
Thank you. Anna and I, who happens to be like best friend at this point,
How long have you guys known each other?
we just met in November.
Are you serious? Not even 1 year?
Not even 1
I really
year.
thought you were like sisters. That's
We-
awesome.
I mean, we have a lot of long FaceTimes, and ironically, so yesterday when we were sitting at the table, at one point Paulina took my seat, and I was sitting next to Allison, and it became this beautiful split of those two are very peaceful and quiet and calm, and then Allison and I are a little more, call it chatty and vibrant, and a few days ago I was on Instagram scrolling, and I saw this video of like me with my best friend, and I'm telling her all these crazy audacious stories, and then she's just sitting there listening and nodding her head. And I was like, this is really our dynamic, almost, to a T. And when we had that moment, though, she was like, isn't this funny? I connect with her because we're both very peaceful and calm. And she goes, I really don't know how we resonated, but there's like that opposites attract thing going on. And I was like, I'll tell you a secret.
Oh.
And she was like, what is that? And I go, you get that side of me because I'm comfortable with you. When I'm not comfortable with you, I can flip that switch to be like very, I don't want to call it shy, but like observant. And that comes from always wanting to feel a person out. But with her, it was like, we actually were placed in the same Tony Robbins crew group in the exact same team. And we hadn't talked for almost like half the event. And then one day I caught her out in the hallway and we just got into it. And it was like a 45-minute deep conversation in the middle of this hallway when we're supposed to do like a break or something. And then at that point, the rest is history.
That's awesome. I love the connection that you guys have. It's special.
Thank you.
Shout out to Anna.
Shout out to Anna. And the Magic Box. And actually, one thing that I love about her energy is she has this phrase that spoiler alert, I bought her a mug. As a little like surprise, and she has a phrase, and it all starts with love, and it all starts with you.
That's beautiful.
And it's how can you basically pour out the love that you have to others and to yourself.
I could see in this very moment how special and important she is to you.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Well, when you find a good sister, you need it. But I also wanted to acknowledge you for a moment for the level 2 ladies, because we're very dynamically different and very similar, and it's a very interesting mix.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed knowing each and every single one of them.
I love those things maybe more than anything right now. Those containers. And I would say there's many reasons why, but the biggest is what you just shared. And I don't know if you met some of the men last night that are in level 2.
Oh, yeah. Well, I knew Judd, but...
Yeah. Tom's in a different one.
I know.
Tom's a great guy, isn't he?
He's amazing. And he did so good last night.
Yeah, he did. The brotherhood and sisterhood that everybody's forming is just the most special thing. Oh, yeah. And it's not just to have a new friend. It's accountability. It's an elevated consciousness altogether. It's just beautiful.
But the bonds are deeper.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Much deeper, because these ladies know far more than maybe you would not naturally give off to a new person. Mm-hmm. And for me, I was like, I don't know why I'm telling you all this, but I feel comfortable enough to do so. And I think it's a testament to also the energy that you pour into when you're creating something new. Mm-hmm. Because this was a new project for you.
100%.
So going back to stretching you, though, I also think you should be stretching how long your events are.
What do you mean?
2 days at least.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, because you do a mix of speakers and then you do you. And I think it would be great to have you maybe sit there and do a little more hot seats. And then also...
More interactive?
More interactive, and then also pour a little more of your wisdom because people love hearing from you.
Thank you for that feedback. It's funny because yesterday you were
Not that I was planning to do this.
That was definitely a little bit more interactive. But you're right. If it was longer, we could really do a crazy activation. It just depends. What do we want?
An activation. Maybe that's the name for the next one.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. What do we want the event to be? So we have the workshop in the day.
I love that you use that word, by the way.
Marinate?
Marinate. Yes. Because that's my thing. Sometimes you hit me with these deep philosophical questions, and I'm like, I don't have the answer right now.
That's okay.
Let me marinate on it. Kind of like a steak. By the way, getting a little moment of gratitude, I just want you to know, you are the first person that I've deeply, truly connected with to the point where I was like, oh, I really feel seen. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to lie, and I cannot believe I'm doing this on camera, but I can sense that you see where I'm at, but you also see where I can be.
That's my gift.
That is, yes, yeah. That's your gift, and you know how to speak life into people, as I said. But it can be very disarming for a person who's maybe not used to being that seen. Mm-hmm. So I just want to acknowledge you because I think part of your gift is how well you see people and how you're able to communicate and articulate the words that speak to their soul to actually awaken them and activate.
Mm-hmm. Beautifully said. Thank you.
You're welcome. You've been a life-changing person for me, very much so.
Thank you. But it's a team, right? You have to be available for it and then be open to it. So my soul called you in, or maybe your soul called my soul in for maybe that reason. I'm sure. But thank you for that.
Great. And then final thing, I always end off with a rapid fire.
Same.
So what's one word that you would just use to describe your current season?
My current season? Mm-hmm. Portal.
I should have seen that coming. Love it. A song that instantly lifts your mood?
Shake It Off by Florence and the Machines.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So, not to be mean, but what's your current favorite movie outside of The Greatest Showman or The Matrix?
I love the Rocky movies. Gets me every time. I love The Founder. I like Top Gun too. It's fun to put on in the background. I love Gladiator. It's a classic. I like the James Bond movies.
I mean, you like a lot of movies.
Yeah, I like everything that has a message. I love the movie Soul Surfer with Bethany Hamilton. Her story is her arm has been off by a shark, and then she got back on, continued her pro surfing career. She's been amazing. I had her on the podcast. Just a beautiful story. Always warms my heart about the power of positivity and faith and overcoming.
I mean, you have had some firecrackers on your podcast.
For sure, yeah.
Granted, you yourself are a firecracker.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's not even me being nice. The best advice you've ever received in a single sentence.
I don't know if it's the best, because I would have to think. But one that comes to mind is my teacher, my spiritual advisor, Benjamin, who you've met.
Yes.
He says, he said to me once, claim your position. And when he said that to me, just everything shifted. Basically what he was saying was consciously state what it is that you're deciding that you want, that you're worthy of, or that what you stand for. And then from there, now the universe can align with that. Most of us don't take time to claim our position. Or we're not sure, we're interviewing this and that. When you know exactly what you want, now we can really build. And so just the idea of claiming your position was so powerful and effective for me. So I don't know if it was the best. I've heard a lot of nuggets, but that one came to mind when you asked.
Beautiful. Actually, he and I had a conversation yesterday because I was like, there's no Kabbalah Center in Vegas. And he was like...
He used to work at it, I thought. Taught at it.
He did, but now it's closed.
Oh,
they
really?
only have a study group. And he was like, there's a study group. And I was like, that's not the same. But I've actually looked into it because I was like, as I want to deep into...
I didn't know that. That's disappointing.
It is disappointing. Yeah. So I guess LA is one of my only other options for now. But lastly, what's one thing you want women to stop apologizing for?
That's a great question. What's one thing I want women to stop apologizing for? Taking a backseat to men in the workplace, in what's possible career-wise, in what they can accomplish. I love working with female entrepreneurs. Just the entrepreneurial space in general, why it's so sexy means there's no limitation. As long as you're willing to play big, right? And so I want women to just know how badass, dynamic, empowering, and special they really are. Because I do know a lot of women are hiding parts of their stories, or they don't think they're worthy of whatever the case may be. But I love being surrounded by them. I'm inspired by them. And I want them to just keep ripping those veils over their light and shining brighter. Because the world definitely needs more of them, like you.
Thank you. Okay. Well, I said that was the last question, but I guess that was a lot.
You said it twice. So this is the third bonus.
Hey, we're close.
Hell yeah. All good.
What is one way you would want them to continue shining their light?
Continuity. Just keep playing bigger. Keep showing up. Keep being more visible. Keep speaking. Keep sharing.
Beautiful answer. Well, before we wrap, I just want to take a moment to not only thank you, not only for this conversation, but the way you've showed up in my life. Your presence, your belief, and your conviction have been such an anchor for me, and I'm deeply grateful. Before we close, I'd love to give you the floor. Is there anything on your heart that you'd like to leave our listeners with today? Or a final message or truth you're called to share?
First of all, great conversation. I appreciate the attention to detail, the preparation, but also the openness to take it where it went. Love you so much. Very proud of you. What I would like to share, you can't transcend what you still identify with. So whatever identity you think that you are or you're connected to, can't really transcend that, right? So if you want to keep going to your next level, you have to be willing to expand and alter your identity. So no matter where you are in life right now, whatever someone might be going through or struggling with or having trouble overcoming, it's just temporary, and you can actually decide and choose a different identity and then operate from that frequency. And all of a sudden you have a whole different reality. So you can't transcend what you still identify with.
Beautiful. Sorry, that one hit a little bit. Per usual. And for those listening, where do you want them to stay connected? Where's the best place for them to find you and be part of your world?
I want them all to subscribe to your show if they're not already, and leave a 5-star review because it's helpful if you like the conversation. Then, Instagram. Grab the book, The Reinvention Formula, on Amazon. Go to our
Very
website.
good.
We have all the things there.
Very good book. One of my favorites personally.
The podcast, the CLS Experience. Come to our next event. It's probably going to be in March in springtime. We're locking in the date right now. It will be sold out. If you like inspirational free nuggets throughout the week, you could definitely join our free texting community. Just text 917-634-3796 and text the word Anita so that I know that you heard it here. And one last thing that you can do for me is play bigger in your own movie. Main character energy. Not being an extra, but take back that top billing.
Okay. Again, I was not expecting that to hit the way it did. I just want you to know I really appreciate you. Very much. And again, thank you for your wisdom and your heart. Every time we've talked, it always feels like an activation. Sometimes a trigger, for being honest. A good one, a proactive one. So it's not something I'm running from. Whoop.
Don't worry about it.
If something Craig has shared today spoke to your soul, we'd love to hear it from you. Take a moment to share your reflection, your biggest takeaways, or the activations you felt. You can tag us on Instagram in the show notes or below, or message us directly to let us know how this conversation landed. Because your insights are what makes this community feel alive, we rise together. And to everyone listening, may this conversation be a reminder that your next evolution isn't somewhere far away. It's already within you, waiting to be seen, embodied, and activated.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
My pleasure.